Outrageous. My sweet-faced roommate turned out to be a heartless flirt. Not only did she steal my boyfriend, she even had the nerve to suggest she might marry into my family. With a smug little grin, she announced, "Well, I will just say it outright. One day, you might have to start calling me Mom." The man she was referring to, a middle-aged guy she mistook for my wealthy father. In reality, he was a janitor at the property management office of our neighborhood. The fancy suit he wore, ill-fitting and all, was something he had pulled from the clothing donation bin. And that neighborhood, it was developed by my family. The property company was ours too, but that did not stop my oh-so-clever roommate from posing in our model home, taking selfies, and captioning them. "There's just nothing like relaxing in your own place." Then there was my boyfriend. Well, ex-boyfriend, Robert, a walking contradiction if I ever saw one. When I said I wanted a milk tea, he said, "Too much sugar, not healthy." Then he handed me a bottle of spring water. When I said I wanted Wagyu beef, he said, "With the virus still going around, leaving campus is risky," so he got me a sausage from the dining hall window. But the moment I said, "I will treat you to Starbucks," his face lit up like Christmas morning. "Sounds great," he said, nearly skipping. When I offered to take him out for sushi, he practically dragged me there. See what I mean? Total contradiction. Robert was a year above me, a senior and a member of the school basketball team. That tall, athletic build and those perfectly toned abs, hard to walk away from. Not that I had ever touched them, but I had seen them. After every game, he would lift his shirt to wipe his sweat, and there they were, a full set of glorious abs, on display like some kind of art exhibit. I stared every time. One afternoon, while we strolled hand in hand around the track, Robert turned to me and asked, "Want to take a road trip over the long weekend? We could hit the beach," he added, gently trailing his fingertips along my palm in that suggestive way of his. The beach, swim trunks, abs, maybe even one of those unspoken, magical nights. I knew exactly what he was hinting at. But with the dream so close I could almost taste it, I still had to say no. I forced a smile and shook my head. "Maybe next time. I need to work over the break. Gotta make some money." Robert's expression froze. Just for a second, then he blinked and asked, "Sarah, why would you need to work? Is your family having problems or something? I saw you show up on move-in day in a Rolls-Royce Cullinan." I let out a dramatic sigh. Cullinan? That was rented. You cannot sell a rental car, can you? As for family troubles, let's just say, I am starting to suspect I might not be their real daughter. That hit him like a brick. He just stood there, dazed, looking more shocked than I felt. His expression was priceless. Of course, I was exaggerating for dramatic effect. I was just about to tug on his sleeve and dramatically complain about how my dear father and brother had left me penniless, when suddenly, Robert pulled his hand away. He had snapped out of it. His expression darkened. His tone grew rushed. "Sarah, we can talk about this later." "All right, I just remembered I have basketball practice. I have to go." And just like that, he took off without looking back. I stood there in disbelief. That man had changed his face faster than a stage actor. My mind drifted back to the day he confessed his feelings for me. He said he loved my heroic charm. Back then, I thought he meant the way I stood tall and proud during military training. Now I was starting to think he had meant the charm of watching me step out of a Cullinan in full designer gear on the first day of school. Well, what now? The Cullinan was not mine. I had borrowed it from my brother. I do not actually own a Rolls-Royce. I own a McLaren P1, though, to be fair, it is currently sitting as collateral in my dad's name, for the grand sum of $20,000. You see, there is a rule in my family. Once you turn 18, you stop spending the family's money freely. You earn your own. Every dollar. It is not just about learning how money works, it is about building real skills, practical knowledge, and becoming a capable adult. My grandfather calls it training. He says that only those who have struggled can carry the full weight of the Brown family legacy. This rule is not backed by law, but it is how my grandfather raised my father, and how my father now raises us. I truly thought I would be the exception. I was the cherished daughter of doting parents, my grandfather's pride and joy, and my brother's precious little sister. But the day I turned 18, all my credit cards were frozen. In one stroke, bam, I was broke. No amount of crying or begging changed a thing. Later, out of sheer generosity, my dad offered me $20,000. In exchange for the McLaren he gave me as a gift for getting into college. He handed me the cash with a sly grin. Collateral loan, he said cheerfully. Lesson 1 from Dad. Cunning as he was, I had to admit he gave me a useful hint. I eyed my limited edition handbags, wondering if selling one might earn me enough to buy back my car, but before I could act, my mom swooped in like a hawk and seized all my new clothes, accessories, bags, and makeup. Sweetheart, she said sweetly, I will keep these safe for you. Once you earn enough, you can buy them back. Thank goodness for my brother. When I panicked about how to move all my luggage to campus, he let me borrow his car. Blood really is thicker than water. I patted him on the shoulder, deeply touched. There's still good in the world. He smirked like a villain. No paperwork, lowest rental price, special family discount. I stared at him, horrified. How could I forget he owns a luxury car rental company? Dog Brown Chen, I muttered under my breath. So generous of you. So that is how I ended up where I am now, working hard to earn back my car and my bags. I followed my father's plan, learning how to handle reports during the week and helping out at various Brown family businesses on the weekends, getting a feel for real work. To be fair, my dad was not completely heartless. Over the long weekend, he assigned me to work as a front desk clerk at one of our vacation hotels. The goal was to improve my communication and problem-solving skills. My salary, the hotel's total daily revenue would be mine. If all went well, I would have enough to buy back my McLaren soon. Not that Robert cared about any of this. As I walked back to the dorm with a bag of takeout in hand, I could already hear the voices of my roommates through the door. They were speaking loudly, completely unaware, or perhaps uncaring, that their words carried clear as day. Oh my gosh, that luxury car was rented. I cannot believe Sarah Brown would be so fake. Olivia's voice cut through the thin wooden door with ease, and just like that, I became the center of their conversation. I always thought her clothes looked pretty plain. I mean, how could someone like her afford a Rolls-Royce anyway? I instinctively looked down at what I was wearing. Nothing flashy, that was true, but it was a custom-made piece from a small Italian designer I happened to love. It was comfortable, tastefully unique, and hardly old-fashioned. Sure, I bought it last year, but that did not make it tacky. I had a decent sense of style, and I stood by it. Then Olivia's voice rang out again, even more animated. Megan, now that Robert finally sees Sarah for who she really is, you need to make your move. I just feel so sorry for him, Megan said in a syrupy tone. He was completely fooled by her shallow looks. I never imagined Sarah Brown could be so vain. Really? Was I being accused of some unspeakable crime here? What exactly had I done to deserve being torn apart like this? Hannah, in a quieter voice, hesitated before adding, but I thought Sarah's family was well off. I mean, she often eats those really expensive French and Japanese meals. Olivia was quick to pounce on that. Oh Hannah, do not be so naive. Robert comes from a real wealthy family. Obviously, he is the one paying for those meals, and just look at Sarah. She is always running around like a headless chicken, juggling multiple part-time jobs. If her family were that well off, would she be working like that? Then she chuckled sweetly and added, not like our Megan. She is the true heiress of the Brown Corporation, and still manages to stay so modest and kind. She and Robert are clearly made for each other. I nearly laughed out loud. The Brown Corporation. Which Brown Corporation were they even talking about? Was there another Brown family empire I had never heard of? I supposed that was possible. After all, Brown was a pretty common last name. Still, judging by Megan's outfit, cheap knockoffs passed off as designer, I seriously doubted she was the daughter of any kind of empire, and being constantly busy meant you were poor. The wealthiest people I knew were the busiest of all. Ever heard of ambition? Girls. As for Robert being some kind of wealthy heir, on what basis? Because he buys bottled water, because he eats sausages from convenience stores, because of that elusive Ferrari he always talks about but never drives. Or maybe it was the Adidas jacket and Nike sneakers. Please, the only decent thing he ever wore was that Audemars Piguet watch, and that was a gift from me, when we hit our 1-month anniversary. I was just about to push open the door and step in when I caught sight of Megan delicately covering her face and giggling like some delicate flower. "Oh, stop it," she said coyly, her voice as fake as her designer bag. "I have not even said yes to Robert yet." Disgusting. As I entered the room, the air immediately turned heavy with awkward tension. I curled my lips into a faint smile, ready to dismantle every ridiculous word they had said. But before I could speak, my eyes landed on my desk, my expression froze. The surface was littered with discarded fruit wrappers and peels. The floor was no better. Cherry pits scattered all over. I instantly recognized the mess. The wrappers and fruit remains all matched the boxes of premium fruit I had carried in just that morning. "You went through my things," I said, my voice turning cold. "You sat here gossiping about me behind my back, all while eating my fruit. Who gave you that right?" Even Olivia, usually quick with her words, suddenly looked sheepish. Her voice lost its earlier edge as she mumbled, "It was just some fruit. It is not like it was expensive. No need to make a scene. You are so stingy. Taking something without asking is stealing," I replied calmly, fixing her with a steady gaze. "If you are not stingy, Olivia, why do you not buy your own instead of eating mine?" Sarah tried to smooth things over. She approached and gently tugged on my sleeve, her voice tinged with guilt. "Sarah, please do not be upset. We saw you brought back so much and just thought maybe you could not finish it all." "You thought I could not finish it," I laughed, "but it never reached my eyes. So you just decided to help yourselves and leave me with nothing but peels and trash. What kind of twisted logic is that?" Yes, I had bought a lot. 2 full boxes of top-grade cherries, a crate of premium New Zealand kiwis, another of sunshine grapes, and yet another of mountain mangosteens. Dozens of pounds in total. I had wanted to share. Honestly, I thought we had a decent relationship. But never did I expect that every single fruit would be gone, devoured, without a single word of thanks or a moment of hesitation. All that remained were the scraps they had left behind. I honestly could not believe it. How could 3 people finish off all that fruit in just a few hours? Even pigs do not eat that fast. Then Megan stood up with a bright smile and said casually, "Sarah, it was me who told everyone they could have some. Because, oh, it was your decision." I nodded slowly, pretending to understand while making no effort to hide my sarcasm. "Tell me, Megan, is your face thicker than most people's?" Megan clearly did not expect me to call her out in front of everyone. Her expression shifted several times before she forced herself to keep speaking. "Well, Robert said he bought the fruit for you, so I figured I could share it. There was so much, I thought it would be nice to give everyone some. It was not that expensive anyway. Robert can just buy more." I could not take it anymore. I interrupted with a sharp laugh. "Megan, let me make this clear. First of all, those boxes of fruit were bought by me, not by your precious Robert. If you want to distribute something he gave you, then," I pointed to a few untouched bananas in the corner, "those bananas over there, you can split however you like. Secondly, even if there were more than enough fruit, I am the one who paid for them. You should have asked me before helping yourself. Finally, the total cost was $2,138. Be quick and pay up." "Over 2,000, Sarah Brown. Are you trying to rip us off?" Olivia yelled. "But Robert said I could," Megan mumbled, not daring to argue with me directly. She pulled out her phone with a pitiful expression. "I am going to call Robert right now." She even turned on the speaker, clearly hoping I would hear him confirm her story. The call connected quickly. Robert's voice came through, low and deliberate. "Hey, Megan, what is going on?" "Robert," Megan said in a nasal whimper, sniffling for extra effect. "Sarah's upset because I ate the fruit you bought. Could you please tell her that you gave me permission? You said it was okay, didn't you?" She still seemed convinced that Robert had paid for everything. "Do not cry, Megan," Robert replied gently. "Yes, I told you it was fine. You can eat whatever you want. Do not be sad." "All right. I knew you were the best," Megan beamed, throwing me a smug look. I frowned, disgusted by their shamelessness. I was just about to speak when Robert, perhaps forgetting he was still on speaker, blurted something out, his voice clear enough for everyone in the room to hear. "Oh come on, it was just some bananas. Who knew Sarah Brown could be so stingy, Megan? Next time you want anything, just let me know and I will buy it for you." And the call cut off. Megan's face turned a deep shade of red as she hung up in silence. I must have misunderstood. Sorry, Sarah. She mumbled without a trace of sincerity. Her tone said one thing, but her posture, chin raised, eyes defiant, told a different story. Save it, just pay up. 2,138. It was only a few boxes of fruit. There is no way it cost that much, Megan muttered, biting her lip, still refusing to hand over the money. Oh really? I batted my eyelashes at her with mock innocence. But you, of all people, should recognize premium fruit, right? A big heiress like you must know the market price for 4J grade cherries. Surely. Of course I do. I am not ignorant, Megan stammered. I rolled my eyes, tired of the back and forth. I pulled out my phone and opened my purchase records, ready to shove the receipt in her face. Just then, a flood of messages popped up in the class group chat. Thanks for the treats, Megan. Megan, you are so sweet. The cherries were amazing. Such a generous young lady. Only a real heiress would buy fruit this expensive. Well, that explained it. No wonder the fruit disappeared so quickly. Megan had taken what I bought and used it to maintain her image as the generous, glamorous socialite, using my money to polish her crown. How clever. I did not hold back. I took a screenshot of the receipt and posted it in the group chat. Wow, Megan, how generous. Now pay me back. Silence. I followed up with screenshots of our conversation on various apps. Megan, did you transfer the money yet? I have not seen it come through. Surely you are not planning to pretend this never happened. Are you? After a long pause, Megan finally posted a screenshot of our chat on an online shopping platform. Paid, she wrote. Even though she only paid after being publicly exposed and humiliated, the way she gritted her teeth while doing it made the whole thing immensely satisfying. I casually pushed some trash off my desk and swept it toward her side. Then leaned back with a smile and happily started eating from my favorite takeout place. Olivia, clearly annoyed, huffed and said, "What are you so proud of, Megan? Do not be upset, she is just petty. You, as the heiress of Brown Enterprises, should not stoop to her level. Let her keep her small victories, of course." Olivia, being as clueless as ever, did not notice Megan's face turning dark as coal the moment she said Brown Enterprises. And now that she mentioned the Brown name, I suddenly felt a spark of curiosity. Which Brown Enterprises is Megan from? I asked innocently. That is funny, because my family founded a company called Brown Enterprises too. No hidden meaning. I was just genuinely curious which major firm would dress their so-called heiress in cheap knockoff designer goods. Olivia scoffed, clearly enjoying herself. Sarah Brown, do not flatter yourself just because you share the same last name. Megan's family owns the top-ranked company in this city. Real estate, retail chains, you name it, your family is probably running a corner shop somewhere. What? I was stunned. Had I heard that right? If my memory served me well, this so-called Brown Group Olivia was bragging about was my family's company. I turned to her sharply. Are you saying Megan is Joshua Brown's daughter? Before Olivia could respond, Megan cut in with a scolding tone. Sarah Brown, it is incredibly rude to address someone else's elders by their first name. I ignored her attempt to dodge the question and stared directly into her eyes. So, Megan, are you admitting that Joshua Brown is your father? You are out of your mind. Sarah Brown, Olivia practically shrieked in Megan's defense, raising her voice. What is so hard to admit? That is her dad, period. Maybe you should have more plums and less paranoia. Please, that man is my father. Even if he once traded my car for a measly $20,000, he is still my biological father. Megan noticed the fury in my eyes but stayed completely calm. She even smiled as she spoke. Why are you so worked up? Sarah, are you jealous? Look, no one chooses where they come from. If you work hard, you can still climb your way to the top. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, glanced at me with feigned pity, and added, I know you are upset because of Robert, but I did not respond to his advances for your sake. You really should not see me as a threat. What nonsense. My temper flared instantly. Robert, please. To me, he is just a pretty face with abs. Honestly, I was already regretting letting lust cloud my judgment and agreeing to date him in the first place. You better take responsibility for what you say. Megan, I snapped. Do you even have a family photo? An ID, a birth certificate, care to show your household registration. My registration is back in my hometown, Megan muttered, clearly caught off guard by how serious I was. She turned her head away. Why do you care anyway? I scoffed. You might be able to fool idiots, but not me. The air grew thick with tension. Then Hannah, trying to ease the awkward atmosphere, chimed in gently. Sarah, do not be like that. Megan has no reason to lie. You can check her social media. She lives in Emerald Court. Her house is huge. Emerald Court. I froze for a moment. That was a luxury residential complex developed by our family years ago. It had everything. Spacious condos, duplexes, townhouses, and even standalone villas. We lived there too. I quickly pulled out my phone and opened Megan's social feed. She did not post often, but within the few visible posts from the past month, every single one was a display of wealth. The latest one was tagged at Emerald Court. In the photo, she posed beside a grand garden, a luxurious home, and some tastefully decorated interiors. Sure enough, it was Emerald Court. But when I looked closer, I realized something. The location was not a private residence. It was the sales office and staff dormitory that had been renovated from model homes. Part of the property's marketing display, Megan had taken selfies inside the Brown Group's model suite, captioning it, "Nothing feels better than being at home." Interesting. I turned to Megan and stared silently. Suddenly, a memory hit me. Back at the start of the semester, I had taken one of my mom's rare luxury lipsticks, a Rodin Wand edition. When Megan saw it, she gasped, "Oh my gosh, Sarah. How can you wear off-brand lipsticks?" She had pulled out her YSL and lectured me like a beauty guru. "You have to use a real brand. YSL is great. Look, truth be told, Rodin is far from off-brand. It is pricey and quite well known in luxury circles." The fact that Megan called it off-brand told me she had never even been exposed to this tier of cosmetics. Back then, I had let it slide to save her some face. Now it all made sense. Megan must have felt my stare and snapped. "What are you looking at?" I crossed my arms and smirked. "Just wondering if your shallow knowledge and limited brainpower are enough to keep up with the lies you have been telling." That little exchange ended our conversation on a sour note, but I had made up my mind. I was going to find out exactly where Megan came from. As for Robert and me, we simply stopped speaking. No drama, no explanation, just silence. Naturally, I found myself single again. Time passed quickly, and the day before a short holiday arrived, everyone behaved themselves, and for once, there was peace. I assumed the next time Robert reached out, it would be to defend Megan or ask for closure. I never expected what actually happened. "Sarah, has the lease on that Cullinan expired? If not, let me borrow it for a few days." That message popped up just as I had arranged for my brother to deliver the car to me. I was heading out to work at a resort over the break. I stared at my phone, utterly baffled. The audacity. "Where is your Ferrari?" I texted back. Everyone at school knew Robert owned a flashy sports car, but no one had ever seen him actually drive it. He replied instantly, "It went in for maintenance last week. Still not ready." "Which dealership takes a full week to service a car?" I asked. He quickly followed up, No, I mean, the trunk is too small for a road trip. I want to take my mom on a little getaway. An SUV would be better." I had no interest in his half-baked excuse. I simply sent him my brother's luxury car rental club contact. "Go rent one yourself. Mention my name and you might get a discount." Truth be told, I was not sure there was any discount at all, but I did get commission. Yes. I was working part-time at my brother's club too. Making money made me happy. "You can lend it to me for just 2 days, Benjamin said shamelessly. "It's not like you need the car. You're busy working part-time anyway. Why should I?" I shot back. "What, are you planning to make a copy of my car key?" The sheer thickness of this man's skin was truly beyond anything I had imagined. "Sarah," he whined, "stop going off topic. Just bring me the car already. I'm waiting for you near Building 11. "Why are you even asking about keys? Of course I will not make a copy. It is good you know your place," I replied coolly, then immediately blocked his number. But fate has a sense of humor. At my family's resort hotel, I ran straight into Robert and Megan. The two of them were tangled up together like they had been glued at the hip. whispering sweet nothings with the sickening closeness of conjoined twins. If not for my professional training, I would have spat on the floor and muttered, "What a cursed sight." Funny thing is, I distinctly remembered Robert saying he was going on a trip with his mother, so Megan is his mother. The shock nearly made me laugh. They were just as surprised to see me behind the front desk, but that surprise quickly shifted into smug superiority as they took in the tourist versus hotel staff dynamic. Their sense of vanity swelled like balloons. "What a coincidence, Sarah," Robert said, dressed to the nines and oozing arrogance from every pore. "It is indeed," I replied, then turned my gaze to Megan, her face painted thick with makeup. "This must be your mother. She looks so young." Megan blinked, clearly caught off guard, then quickly pulled a pout and clung to Robert. "What is she saying, Robert?" "She is being mean." Megan might not have understood my words, but Robert did. He could not play dumb. His face stiffened with embarrassment, and he quickly tried to change the subject. "Sarah, we had a peaceful breakup, did we not? I did not even hold you accountable for pretending to be rich and playing with my feelings. I think I have already been more than kind. Do not make a scene." Then he turned dramatically to Megan, looking as though he were acting in some poorly written soap opera. "It was because I fell in love with Megan. I could not help myself. It was not her fault. Do not take it out on her." By now, the hotel lobby was filling up. Staff and guests alike were lingering nearby, pretending to mind their own business while clearly eavesdropping. Whispers and side glances passed between them like wildfire. Right there in the spotlight, Megan leaned her head gently on Robert's chest and added with a soft, triumphant smile, "That is right, Sarah, do not misunderstand. Everyone says you are too poor and not good enough for Robert. They think I am a better match for him. But I really only agreed to be with him after you two broke up." "Yes," Robert added, puffing up with pride, "we have only been together a few days. Sarah, I know you have always been poor and narrow-minded. You have only ever done small jobs and earned pocket change. Your future is probably not very promising. But as a fellow alumnus, I want to encourage you, do not give up on yourself. If you work hard, you can still make something of your life." Actors, both of them. I had no words. Clearly, they were lost in some fantasy role-play where they were the noble lovers and I was the bitter, jealous ex. Honestly, I could not even bring myself to care. The love-hate drama of a fake trust fund baby and a phony heiress, not worth my energy. At that moment, the lobby manager leaned in close and whispered in my ear, "Miss, shall we call security and have them escorted out?" Honestly, they both seem mentally unstable. Well, he was not wrong. They were standing here calling the daughter of the Brown Corporation poor and hopeless like they had taken leave of their senses. I furrowed my brows and replied under my breath, "Mental instability is not a crime. We should not discriminate. And besides, since when do we chase away customers holding money?" Speaking of money, I immediately returned to my professional smile. I looked at them as I would any regular guest, not wanting to get dragged into unnecessary drama. "Welcome," I said with a pleasant tone. "Are you here for dining or accommodation?" "Accommodation," Robert answered smugly, clearly thinking he had won some invisible battle. "I already booked through an online platform. Just check me in." I took his phone to verify the order and nearly burst out laughing. A deluxe room for 188 yuan. With breakfast for two. He must have found some shady online coupon from a third-rate website. And with that, he thought he could check into our 5-star resort. For context, our buffet breakfast alone costs more than 188. "Mr. Robert, I believe there has been a misunderstanding," I said as I handed back his phone. "This is the Orange Bay International Resort. Our most basic standard room starts at 1888. The 188 voucher you purchased is not valid here. You might want to confirm its origin." Our resort, nestled between mountains and sea, includes natural hot springs, a private beach, and top-tier entertainment facilities. A true 5-star experience. How could anyone think they could pay 188 yuan for all of that, even during the off-season? I continued with a pleasant smile but a firm voice. "Hotels of our class do not offer rooms below 1,000 yuan, and now is peak travel season." I paused just long enough for the message to sink in. "Given the elite image you both like to project, I would have thought this was common knowledge, and there it was, the truth, neatly served. That line hit them right where it hurt. I could see the flicker of panic in both Robert's and Megan's faces. Their expressions changed like a flashing billboard, twisting through shock, disbelief, and forced composure. Megan was the first to react. Her smile froze, and she stiffly stepped out of Robert's embrace, though she tried her best to keep her voice calm. It still came out much sharper than before as she snapped, "Robert, what is going on? Did you not say you already booked a room here? How could a room that costs only $188 cover a 5-star hotel stay?" Robert tried to maintain his composure, but his face had flushed the color of overcooked liver. His nervousness was written all over him. He fiddled with his phone, swiping the screen a few times before locking it again. "No, Megan, let me explain," he stammered. I misread the reservation. I must have booked the wrong place by accident." His words were falling apart. "But, Megan, since I already paid for something, maybe we could just stay at the other hotel. It might not be 5 stars. But, what?" Megan's eyes widened in disbelief. "Robert, did you not promise to take me to the Orange Bay International Hotel for a luxurious vacation? I knew it. You never really cared about me. You were lying this whole time." With that, she grabbed her bag, turned on her heel, and marched toward the exit in high heels that clacked dramatically across the floor. "I do not want to see you again. I cannot believe you would do this to me." But before she could make it to the door, Robert rushed after her and grabbed her arm. "Megan, wait, do not be upset." And so began a whirlwind of melodrama. Just like the over-the-top romance scenes in those old soap operas, after a few tugs and heartfelt whispers, they made up like nothing had happened. I could hear Robert whispering with a sheepish grin, "How could I be stingy when it comes to you? I am not short on money, I swear. I just thought it would be a shame to let a group deal go to waste if it expired. What a ridiculous excuse." So, naturally, I stepped in to offer a little helpful suggestion. "You can easily request a refund through the booking platform. You know." Robert turned to glare at me like he could burn holes through my face. "No one asked you." Well, that escalated quickly. How touchy. I shrugged and leaned back, settling in to enjoy the show. "Forget the other hotel, Robert," Megan said sweetly. "Let us just check in here. People like us, with status and class, cannot afford to be embarrassed in public." As she spoke, she threw a pointed glance in my direction. "Otherwise, some people might think we are no different than those who cannot afford to stay in a place like this. Affordability is not the problem. I am just worried they might end up skipping out on the bill. After all, every cent they spend today will be credited directly to my account as part of my bonus." I smiled at Megan and said with genuine warmth, "Believe me, I want you to stay here more than anyone. The more luxurious your room, the fatter my wallet gets." "Oh really?" Megan chuckled, covering her mouth in amusement. "What, does the front desk earn commission now?" "Absolutely, 100% commission. In fact, in the end." Robert gave in. He dragged his ID over to my colleague at the counter, his steps reluctant, his face pale with regret, when he heard the front desk staff say, "I am sorry, the Mountain View room at 1-888 is fully booked. We still have the Seaview room at 2-688 available." His expression darkened further, but Megan seemed oblivious. Her attention remained entirely focused on mocking me. Leaning close, she whispered just loud enough for me to hear, "Jealous, Sarah, too bad. This amazing man is mine now." I did my best to keep my expression neutral, but it was hard not to laugh. "Oh, I am terribly envious," I said with an exaggerated sigh, "but honestly, 2-688 seems beneath you both. Have you considered the 18-888 beachfront villa? It comes with a private hot spring. Just imagine, sipping tea in the water, gazing out at the ocean. Pure heaven." Of course, if you are on a tight budget, feel free to forget I mentioned it. Some people just cannot resist a challenge. Especially the kind who live for appearances. Megan was one of them, and so was Robert. The only problem, Robert did not have that kind of money. He had already stretched himself thin renting a car for thousands a day. Booking a regular room here was already a show of bravado that probably maxed out his limits. Even if he peeled off a layer of skin, there would not be enough cash underneath. Still, he was clever. always quick to find a way out, he leaned in and whispered to Megan, "Megan, actually, most of my funds are tied up in investments right now. It is hard to liquidate everything so quickly. Maybe you could cover part of it this time." That excuse, I had heard it before. Back when we were dating, when we hit our 1-month anniversary, I had even stolen one of my brother's Audemars Piguet watches to gift him. It was worth a small fortune. Obviously, he had happily accepted it, but never said a word about getting me anything in return, just smiled and said, "Sarah, once I free up my investment money, I will take you out for a fantastic dinner." What did I end up getting? A sausage, $2 each. The memory hit me all over again as I glanced down at his wrist. Sure enough, he was still wearing the watch I gave him. The nerve, out vacationing with his new girlfriend, and wearing his ex-girlfriend's gift. And the worst part, he was actually willing to spend money on her. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got, so I decided to add a little fuel to the fire. "Mr. Robert, no need to worry," I said cheerfully, raising the POS terminal. "We accept bank cards, credit cards, and digital wallets like Klarna or Afterpay, whichever works best for you." Robert clenched his jaw. "Can you just shut up?" "Of course," I replied with a pleasant smile. In the end, it was Megan who gave in. "Forget it, Robert. Do not get worked up over her," she said gently. "The regular Seaview room is fine." She always pretended to be understanding and kind, but I had every reason to believe she was just trying to avoid spending her own money. Robert was ambitious, the kind of man who dreamed of marrying into wealth and leaping straight to the top. Megan, on the other hand, was vain, constantly borrowing my name to paint herself into the life she thought she deserved. They were both hiding their true intentions, but between the two, the fake heiress was clearly a step ahead. It seemed Robert's little scheme was going to cost him dearly. There he stood, clutching his wallet as if it were his last lifeline, looking pitiful and defeated. Megan, in contrast, still carried herself with an air of triumph, her chin high and pride even higher. I decided it was time to add a little fuel to the fire. "Oh right, Megan," I said sweetly. "Aren't you the heiress of the Brown Corporation? You mean to say you actually have to pay to stay at your family's own hotel? I always thought you could just sign the bill. Surely it is not Robert who has to cover the cost, right?" Clearly unprepared for this line of questioning, Megan froze for a split second before quickly regaining her composure and responding with forced confidence. "What nonsense. This place does not belong to my family at all, Sarah. Stop trying to stir things up between me and Robert." She turned to Robert and clung to his arm, her voice syrupy sweet. "Robert, you believe me, don't you? If this hotel were really part of our investments, of course I would know. Sarah is just trying to drive a wedge between us. I believe you. I believe you," Robert muttered, slipping back into his familiar act of doting affection. But after his earlier financial embarrassment, the performance rang hollow. They were still clinging to their fantasy romance, while I was simply planting a little time bomb beneath it. After handing off my duties at the front desk to a colleague, I headed toward the buffet restaurant to get some dinner, but before I even reached the exit of the lobby, I ran into a cheerful sight. An old man in a floral shirt and matching beach shorts, radiating energy. "Ching-ching," he called out. "Grandpa." I beamed and hurried over to loop my arm through his. "What brings you here?" I asked warmly. He laughed heartily. "Went out fishing with some old friends and thought I would drop by. After all, my precious granddaughter has been so busy making money lately, she hardly comes home anymore." "Whose fault is that?" I teased, giggling. "You are the one who made the rule. If you had let me stay home and relax, I would not be rotating through every business under the sun." He laughed even louder, sharp-tongued as always. All right, I cannot win with you. So I had no choice but to drag my old bones here just to see you." Still chatting and laughing, we walked into the buffet, and who should be there, again, but Robert and Megan. It seemed fate had a cruel sense of humor. Megan caught sight of my grandfather and immediately jumped to the worst possible conclusion. "No way. Sarah," she said with a smirk, her voice dripping with mockery. "So this is why you came to work here, latching onto a sugar daddy, could not find someone younger." I stared at her, stunned by the crudeness of her words. She was a university student. Yet she spoke with the vulgarity of someone who had long since lost her shame. Maybe when someone harbors filth in their heart, they see nothing but filth in the world around them. But the worst part, what she absolutely should not have done, was to bring her disgusting assumptions into my family. Just as I opened my mouth to shut her down, my grandfather spoke first. "Young lady," he said in a deep, calm voice. "You may say what you want about your food, but watch your words." He was not angry, but the authority in his voice filled the space with quiet intensity. "I will overlook this because you are young," he continued, "but let me give you a piece of advice. Words can bring disaster. If you do not learn that in school, life will teach you, and it will not be kind." Though my grandfather had stepped down from the helm of the Brown Corporation 2 years ago, the sharp edge of a lifetime in business still lingered in his tone and presence. His words carried weight, and the pressure in the air silenced Megan instantly. Robert looked at her strangely and asked, "Megan, you do not recognize that man?" Should I?" she replied with a nervous smile. Robert studied her for a long moment, then finally shook his head. "Never mind, I must have mistaken him for someone else. As for me, I was not so lucky. Grandpa dragged me aside and scolded me from one end of the restaurant to the other. He was furious, said I had no backbone, that I let people walk all over me, that I brought shame to the Brown family. He even threatened to call my father and brother to come and straighten things out for me. Only after I repeatedly promised that I could handle my own affairs did he let me off the hook. As for Robert and Megan, well, that little time bomb I had planted, it went off much earlier than expected. In the middle of the night, the front desk called me down. Apparently, the two of them had exploded into a shouting match right there in the lobby. I arrived half asleep, just in time to hear Robert screaming, "You really played me, on your period and still dragging yourself on a vacation. Do not pretend you did not know what this trip was about. You claimed to be the Brown Corporation heiress, but you do not even recognize the company's founder. You do not even know which hotel your family supposedly owns. Megan, are you not embarrassed?" Megan, still playing the innocent act, shouted back, "You are slandering me. You just wanted to sleep with me. You said my money did not matter, that you loved me for me, but all you wanted was a free ride." Robert shouted, "I spent money on you too, did I not? You think I am paying for trash? You wanted me to treat you like you were the real deal when you are as fake as plastic." At least Sarah Brown was honest. She admitted right away that her fancy car was a rental. "You are not even on her level." "Thanks, Robert, no need to drag me into your meltdown, because believe me, Megan and we are nothing alike." Megan was the first to speak, her voice sharp with accusation. "So, you still have feelings for Sarah Brown?" Robert snapped. "Do you not understand plain English? Just give me my money back." In the end, Robert stormed off, furious. Megan, on the other hand, returned to the room with perfect calm, settling back into her peaceful vacation as though nothing had happened. Yet, as she passed by me, she shot me a glare filled with venom and hissed, "Do not get smug, we are not done yet." I was not the least bit concerned. What she did not know was that earlier that evening, I had learned something quite interesting from the neighborhood property manager, something about her other identity. She was the goddaughter, or more accurately, the much younger girlfriend, of Mr. Dong, the senior janitor in our residential complex. Mr. Dong was in his 40s, not bad-looking, kept himself in decent shape, and strangely, had never married. He was in charge of the entire sanitation crew and took his work seriously, which earned him the title of team leader. He admitted to me directly, "Yeah, I met her on a dating app. She said she was a college student and didn't want a serious relationship, so I figured maybe I'd treat her like a daughter, but the girl kept trying to crawl into my bed. What could I do?" Mr. Dong tried to paint himself as innocent, but the truth, only the two of them really knew. Meanwhile, back at the hotel, the drama was still unfolding, and on social media, Megan was painting a picture of serenity and luxury. That morning, she posted her location with a string of carefully curated photos: mountain views, ocean views, the pool, the gym, the private theater, hot springs, saunas, and buffet spreads. The caption read, "Sometimes you just have to escape the noise of the city and breathe in some fresh air during the holidays." Her followers flooded the comments with admiration. Living the rich girl dream. Megan, take more pretty pictures. Orange Bay Resort. I have always wanted to go, soon enough. Someone reposted her story in the class group chat. I am so jealous of Megan. She is living the life. Megan, want to adopt me? I do not eat much. Rich lady, look at me. I would go crazy for you, run into walls for you. Everyone else is really on vacation, and I am just clinging to my bed like it is my soulmate. I heard the buffet at Orange Bay is amazing. I want to try it so badly. Add me to the list. No foodie can resist that buffet. Too bad I can't afford it this month. Crying. My dream is to soak in a hot spring, eat snacks, and watch the sunset over the ocean. Megan, never one to waste a good spotlight, replied sweetly. Hey, yes, Orange Bay is a little pricey, but it is totally worth it. You should all come visit if you get the chance. Well, with the mood already building, I figured I might as well ride the wave, so I uploaded over a dozen real photos of the resort and added a friendly message. Everyone is welcome to come vacation here. Mention my name at check-in to get our special discount. It did not take long for questions to roll in. Wait, Sarah, what is your connection to Orange Bay? Can you really offer a discount? Megan jumped in fast, trying to discredit me. Sarah works at the front desk. She cannot offer real discounts. And Sarah, come on, taking commission from your classmates. Not cool. Besides, didn't you just land yourself a long-term sugar daddy? Still worried about tips? Her words were vague but enough to spark curiosity. Sarah works the front desk there. What sugar daddy? What is going on? I need the full story in 2 minutes. Is there tea? Is it hot? Then Olivia chimed in, fashionably late but clearly thrilled. Oh, I know, Megan already told me. Here's the scoop. Sarah Brown works at the front desk and seduced an old guy with grey hair. Looks like she's found her shortcut to the top. Haha, Megan, remember what I told you? Loose lips sink ships. The group chat erupted. Shocking, a college student doing this. Shocking, May-December romance right under our noses. Shocking, just shocking. I rolled my eyes. Megan, after being called out by Robert, still dared to claim she was part of the Brown group. Some people just will not learn until they hit rock bottom. I quietly searched my grandfather's public biography and posted the link in the group chat. Megan, I wrote. You really claim to be a Brown group heiress but cannot even recognize your grandfather. Silence. Complete silence. The group chat went dead quiet in an instant. Only a few seconds had passed, and already the group chat had exploded again. The tides of gossip shifted like a storm, and just like that, the wind had changed direction completely. Wait, what is going on? Are they saying Megan might not actually be the heiress? Someone had even shared a long, dramatic post from an anonymous forum. Look at this. It is from Robert himself. Every word cuts deep. He is exposing Megan. This is brutal, unbelievable. How does Megan still have the nerve to show her face? Faced with such undeniable facts, Megan could barely respond. She weakly typed, "Do not believe rumors. Do not spread them." A few moments later, she added, "Believe it or not, I really am the goddaughter of the chairman of the Brown Corporation. He loves me dearly." Then, as if desperate to prove her point, she posted a photo. In it was a spacious courtyard filled with luxury cars. My godfather said I could pick whichever car I liked. She followed that with another picture. An organized room filled with luxury handbags and designer clothing, looking like a walk-in closet. There are so many bags and clothes here. My godfather wants to give them all to me. Look, Hermes, Chanel. I am not lying. Robert tried to ruin me just because he could not get what he wanted. And Sarah Brown is jealous. At that point, it was clear Megan had completely lost herself in the fantasy of being a glamorous rich girl. But what she did not realize was that the courtyard full of sports cars, that was my family's courtyard, my matte green McLaren was front and center in the photo. As for the closet full of luxury goods, that was actually the neighborhood's clothing donation center. All the items inside had been discarded by residents due to minor flaws. I finally spoke up. Why would I be jealous of you? That courtyard in the photo, that is my house. Those cars, also mine. See the McLaren, that was a gift from my father when I graduated. Megan, I continued calmly, take a guess. Do you think the Brown in my name just happens to match the Brown in the Brown Corporation? Her reply came fast and scornful. What a joke. You are always working part-time and do not even recognize the YSL logo. How could you be the daughter of the Brown Corporation? Maybe she truly did not believe it, or maybe she was just clinging to her fantasy for dear life. A few moments later, she snapped, throwing all caution aside. So what if you are his real daughter? How do you know I won't become your stepmother someday? Sarah, let's not pretend anymore. Your dad told me he is going to marry me, she followed with a smug little laugh. Who knows, one day you might have to call me Mom, or maybe even Big Sis. She had truly lost her mind. No one else in the group chat was typing. Everyone was waiting to see where this drama would land. I typed slowly and calmly. I really do not know what kind of daydream you are having. You mocked me for using Louboutin while you think YSL is top tier. There is no point in arguing further. How about we settle this face to face at Jade Garden? Since the melon is ripe, I added, why not taste it today? At 2 this afternoon, the Brown Corporation shuttle will pick everyone up at the school gate. Let us all go enjoy the show. And believe it or not, Megan had actually hitched a ride on our company's bus. Completely unaware, even more shocking, she still carried herself like she had the upper hand. Sarah, she said with a grin full of calculation, you might be wondering why I dared to come with you to Jade Garden. She chuckled and lowered her voice like she was sharing some master plan. Now that you've exposed my relationship with your dad in front of everyone, the situation is too big for him to ignore. Maybe he will feel pressured into giving me a real identity, a delusion, a complete fantasy. She kept calling him my dad, but the truth was, my father did not even know who she was. I silently hoped that when her dream shattered, she would have enough sense left not to cry in public, at my request. The property management team had set up a banquet hall. By the time we arrived, several buses had already dropped off over 100 people. To my surprise, the guests included my roommates, classmates, and even the student journalist from our campus network, along with Robert. The student reporter politely asked if she could live stream the event and report on it in real time. I said yes. After all, I was here to expose a fraud. What I did not expect was that Megan agreed too. I guessed she believed that the more attention this received, the better her chances were of being recognized by my father. Her logic was astounding. As for my identity as the true daughter of the Brown Corporation, it was not up for debate. Outside the banquet hall, the LED display flashed messages like, "Warm welcome to Miss Sarah Brown of the Brown Corporation and celebrating the arrival of our heiress, Sarah Brown." Inside, a massive screen ran through a series of slides. One by one debunking the photos Megan had posted in the group chat. Each image was explained and clarified. At the end, the screen settled on a family portrait. Me, my parents, and my older brother. I pointed to my father in the photo and asked Megan, "Take a good look, is this your godfather?" When Megan arrived earlier, she had been composed and arrogant. She even had the nerve to say to me, "Sarah, listen to your mother's advice. If you apologize now, there is still time, otherwise. If I give your father a son or daughter one day, there might not be a place for you in this family." But now, staring at that family portrait, her face drained of color, she murmured, "No, this is not possible. This cannot be." Then she turned to me, her eyes wild with rage. "Sarah Brown, you are vicious, just to bring me down. You even faked a family photo. How could you use your own father like that?" I said nothing. I simply smiled and tilted my head toward the property manager, giving him the signal. It was time to bring in the chairman himself. Mr. Dong walked in wearing his janitor uniform. Without greeting anyone, he headed straight toward Megan, his tone sharp and accusatory. "What the hell did you say out there? You have ruined me, godfather," Megan cried out, clutching his sleeve as if grasping at the last straw. Her voice was desperate, nearly hysterical. Tell them Sarah Brown lied to me. Right, you are the chairman of the Brown Group. You told me you were. Everyone called you chairman, Mr. Dong jerked his arm away, his face flushed with frustration. "Are you out of your mind? When did I ever say I was the chairman of the Brown Group? My last name is Dong. My full name is Dong Shichang. If you keep spreading this nonsense, I will lose my job." "But you always wore those expensive suits," Megan wailed. "Your photos online show luxury cars and beautiful gardens." Mr. Dong shouted back, "So what? The residents throw away perfectly good clothes all the time. What is wrong with wearing them? I take pride in keeping those gardens spotless. I thought they looked nice, so I took some photos. That is it." Megan collapsed to the floor, tears streaming down her face. Her voice trembled as she accused him. "But you never denied it. Every time I asked, you just smiled. Are you saying you did not mislead me? You did this on purpose. You tricked me, Mr. Dong scoffed. "Blame your own stupidity. You believed what you wanted to believe." He gave a crooked grin. "Even I know you can find photos of the real chairman online in 2 seconds. You were just too dumb to look. You kept saying you wanted to marry me. What man would say no to that? Who doesn't want a wife? You bastard, I will kill you." Megan screamed and launched herself at him, clawing wildly at the man who had destroyed her dream of marrying into wealth. The two of them began fighting. Chaos erupted in the lobby. In the background, Robert's voice rang out in disgust. "So gross, she slept with him and not me. Disgraceful." I had never seen Megan as a real threat. To me, she was irrelevant, never worth my energy. But she kept pushing, kept challenging me, as if begging for her own downfall. Her disgrace was now complete. The entire school knew what she had done. Thanks to a campus livestream that caught every moment, the university called in her parents for a formal meeting. Her parents were humble. Conservative farmers, when they learned their daughter had gotten involved with a man over 40, they were devastated. All they could do was cry. In the end, they gently advised her to accept her fate. A husband is a husband. Her father sighed. What difference does it make who he is? As for Mr. Dong, he was immediately dismissed. A man with no moral character had no place working for the Brown Group. But word spread quickly. Mr. Dong reached out to Megan's parents and told them he was willing to let bygones be bygones. He said he wanted to marry her. He would pay any dowry they asked, just as long as they agreed to the match. I could not help feeling a pang of pity. Megan had studied hard for years to escape her poor mountain village, only to end up like this. But people reap what they sow. If she had stayed focused on her studies and worked honestly, she could have built a meaningful life. Instead, she let herself be blinded by luxury and desire. She thought she was climbing higher, when in fact she was plunging deeper with every step. Still, Megan had just enough pride left to walk away. She refused her parents' arrangement and left school instead. No one knew where she went. Before disappearing, she sent me a message. "I am 21, older than you and the rest of our classmates. Do you know why? Because I dropped out of school twice. The second time, my parents nearly sold me to pay for my brother's tuition. I was ashamed. I was afraid of being poor. The world dazzled me. I tried to keep up, to mimic what I saw. I could not bear being looked down on anymore. I wanted people to admire me, just once. So I did everything I could to get close to the wealthy. I thought, even if I had to sell myself, it should at least be to someone rich, right? But that one big lie cost me everything. Sarah, I was always competing with you, even though deep down, I knew you never cared about me. Look at you. You worked several jobs. You wore clothes without logos. You did not even have YSL. You looked poorer than me, but you still acted like you were better. I thought maybe you relied on some man. You were pretty enough, after all. Otherwise, how could someone like you afford a luxury car? But now I understand. Your part-time jobs were training to take over your family's business. Your plain clothes were custom-made. That lipstick I mocked you for, it is worth more than all my clothes combined. Sarah, I must have looked so ridiculous to you. I replied, being poor is not a reason to fall. And it is never an excuse to slander others. But as soon as I sent it, I found I had already been blocked. The mess had drawn plenty of attention. My parents and brother soon learned about everything. But since I handled it well, they praised me instead of scolding me. My dad gave me back the McLaren without asking for the money. My mom returned all my clothes and accessories, and even gave me the Cartier jewelry I had been eyeing for months, along with her rare black Hermes Mini Kelly bag. And my brother, not to be outdone, gifted me a sleek new Maybach. Once I was back in style, cruising across campus in my favorite car. Robert came crawling back. He said he had been tricked by Megan, that it was always me he loved. I did not care to listen. I took back the luxury watch I had given him, and that was the end of it. My time is valuable. I have no intention of wasting it on people who do not matter. But that did not stop Robert. He started showing up everywhere, trying to win me back. His favorite stunt was standing in the rain, shouting his love like a bad romance movie. One time he caught a cold and had to get in for at the campus clinic. From there, he sent me a cheesy text from a new number. Guess what I am being infused with? My love for you. Drip by drip. It was pathetic. Ever since his scandal with Megan, he had become the campus joke. Wherever he went, people pointed and whispered, "That's the guy who lost to a janitor." He faded quickly. I stopped seeing him around. Last I heard, he had taken a leave from school to deal with some kind of psychological condition. As for Hannah, she always knew how to read the room. We kept our relationship cordial but distant. Olivia, on the other hand, tried several times to mend things between us, but the truth is, we were never close. We were just roommates, nothing more. She had never mattered to me, not as a threat, not as a friend. Once, trying to curry favor, she whispered to me that Megan had ended up working at a club, serving drinks to wealthy men. At one point, she even asked Olivia for money. Olivia refused and cursed her out. She seemed proud, as if standing up to Megan made her my ally, or somehow avenged us both, but I said nothing. We were not the same, not her and Megan, not her and me. I still work several jobs, just like before, like a spinning top, always in motion. But now, people no longer look down on me, they admire me. They say, if Sarah Brown, with all her money, still works this hard, what excuse do I have to slack off? Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, so feel free to share your opinions, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more great stories. We'll see you in the next video.